coming in tonight's game with the 1-1 conference record would dearly like to vent their frustrations on the Wolverines tonight. And they have the guns to do it. Probably the most effective part of Chardon's offensive arsenal is the tailback who wears number 34, Jim O'Patterney. For West Geauga to have a chance tonight, they'll have to find a way to stop him. The Wolverines, on the other hand, have their own offensive dynamo in number 31, John Julian. In our second cable cast of the 1986 season, it was Julian's running that kept the Wolverines close to the highly favored Mayfield Wildcats. He's a durable back who can run strong up the middle, and if he finds daylight, well, he's got the foot speed to do some damage. It should be a good one tonight. Two fine teams, both in need of a victory to remain in contention for the CVC crown. So join us, won't you, here on Cablevision Sports as we bring you the Chardon Hilltoppers against the West Geauga Wolverines.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Cablevision's 6th Geauga County High School football cablecast of the 1986 season, featuring the West Geauga Wolverines against the Chardon Hilltoppers. I'm Joe Scarola, your play-by-play announcer, and to my right is John Walsh, who will be offering his expert color commentary throughout tonight's ball game. Tonight's game is brought to you in part by Junction Auto Sales, automotive service professional. Powell Field at West Geauga High School in Chesterland, Ohio. Joe Scarola along with John Walsh, and we're getting set for the kickoff of this evening's ball game under soggy conditions between the Chardon Hilltoppers, the visiting Chardon Hilltoppers, and the host West Geauga Wolverines. Don't be surprised if by the end of this first quarter almost every number out on the field becomes illegible, and you know, if we have problems identifying people later on in the game, well, you'll know why. You just look at the conditions, it speaks for itself. And believe me, it looks even worse in person than it does in living color, and it's beginning to rain again. Chuck Straczynski will kick off for Chardon. West G won the toss. It's a short kick taken up there by Greg Sobracco, number 37. Sobracco finds a hole through the wedge and gets out over the, looks like about the 40-yard line, out to about the 42, 43. That's going to be a source of contention tonight, too, is spotting those yard markers. First and 10 for West Geauga, and now as we look at it again, it's actually about the 34-yard line that they're on. First and 10 for West G at the 34.
Okay, a tackle was made by Chuck Cox and Brian Straczynski coming in on the special teams unit for Chardon.
John Quinlan is the quarterback for West Geauga. He has Sobracco in the slot right. Wide to the right is Tim Roethlisberger, and the give is to John Julian, and Julian fights his way out across the 40 and the 45 and up near midfield. Picked up about 15 yards, and that'll be good for a West G first down.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see the running styles. Each one of the teams tonight have a premier running back. John Julian for West Geauga, Jim O'Patterney for Chardon. Both are elusive, bending, twisting, put on quick moves laterally type of people. They won't be able to do that tonight on the wet field we have here at West Geauga.
Tight to the right is Blasey, Matt Blasey, number 13. In the slot right, Jim Horner, number 39. Again, the give to Julian. And this time, he has some trouble from the help from the offensive line. Wasn't there, and he picked up about a yard up to midfield. Thrown down there by Todd Lee, number 62. A gain of 1. It'll be 2nd and 9 for West G, squarely at the midfield stripe.
Yeah, Julian did a real good job just getting that 1 yard, because from his nose tackle position, Ed Zaletsky knifed in, grabbed hold of his ankle, almost tossed him for a 2-yard loss. Good job of running to get away from him by Julian.
First and 10 at midfield. Rolling to his right is Quinlan under heavy pressure, throws as he's hit, and the pass falls incomplete in the soggy ground intended for Matt Blasey around the 42-yard line. Fred Kyle covered on the play. It'll be 3rd down for West Geauga, 3rd and 9 at midfield.
Yeah, it was good penetration by the Chardon defensive line that time, getting in. It looked like they were there plenty of time to sack Quinlan. They just couldn't get the 40, and it kind of just fell at his ankles. Quinlan was able to get off the pass, keeping a loss from occurring. Fortunate break for West Geauga on that particular play.
West G ball, 3rd and 9 at midfield. In the slot right is Sobracco. Here's the pitch to Julian, running left across midfield. He's thrown down around the 47-yard line. He's thrown down there by Bob Vincicara, number 25. Ed Zaletsky, number 54, also in on the play. Gain of about 3. It'll bring up 4th and 6. And West Geauga will be forced to give us the game's first punt here.
Now, we could see running back Julian on that play a little tentative when it came time to make his cuts. He was feeling out, trying to figure out just exactly how good a sharp a cut he can make on this wet field. Imagine a Patterny on the other side is going to be doing the same thing.
Rick Rowan to do the punting. It's a low end-over-end kick taken by Mike Lynn around the 15, 20, across the 25 to the 26-yard line. And he was finally cut down there by Jeff Pitcock, number 14. And it'll be 1st and 10 for Chardon. We'll mark the ball at about the Chardon 26-yard line.
Now, Chardon gets a little break here early. They're not in the muddy section of the field yet. They get about 5 to 10 yards to move it till they can get. So it's possible they could get a big play ripped off here because the footing is a lot surer. You have turf there where many of the middle areas of the field are loaded with mud where you can't plan on anything at all. Interesting to see if he'll go very conservative up the middle or actually try to break one up to the field conditions.
Looks like you have fairly decent footing, from the 30 back to the end zone, both sides of the field, but midfield area is just totally waterlogged. And Mike Lynn is going nowhere. He picks up about a yard, maybe 2 at the most. We'll call it a 1-yard gain at the 27. A horde of West Geauga tacklers on the play. Well, we'll call it a 2-yard gain now. They mark it closer to the 28-yard line. It'll be 2nd and 8 for Chardon at the Chardon 28.
Yeah, that was real good penetration by that West Geauga line that time, led by Petronas and Calora. Coming in, it seems to be an evening where the offense can't get their footing while the defense can, at least this early on.
Walkup tight to the left, Neely tight to the right. They're running from the eye, and they give us to Jimmo Patterny. He gets a big hole out over the 35 up toward the 37-yard line. He has enough for a 1st down, but flags are flying.
And that was kind of in the area, Joe, where you have a hold. We'll have to see which way they point. Holding on Chardon it is.
Knew that right as soon as that umpire threw the flag. Boy, that's
just
an automatic.
Where there was nothing else that could have occurred, really.
That's an automatic when you see a flag thrown from that position. That's what it is 99.99% of the time. And that's what it was again. Holding penalty against Chardon cancels the 1st down. It takes the ball all the way back to the Chardon 18-yard line. The Hilltoppers will have it there, 2nd and 18.
That's unfortunate because that was a fine run by O'Patterny. Good blocking on that left side, aided, I suppose, by a hold, which always helps your blocking. But he did some good running, got the 1st down for Chardon, but all of that is being nullified by the holding call, and they're pushed back. Have a long distance to go on 2nd down.
Tight to the left is Walkup. Tight to the right is Neely. A fumble on the exchange. And Howard Joyner picks it up, fumbles it again, and this time West Geauga has it. The Wolverines get the 1st break of the ball game. We'll have to see who recovered the fumble down there. I have an idea. It was number 47, Jim Troha. We didn't have a good angle there to see who that recovery was made, but I think that Troha made it. And it'll be 1st and 10 for West Geauga inside the Chardon 20 at the 16-yard line.
Yeah, we had the bad snap exchange between the center and the quarterback, and then the quarterback Joyner tried to pick it up, make the best out of it, but he never fully had control of the ball. Consequently, the fumble break goes to West Geauga.
I have a feeling that's not going to be the last time you're going to see something like that this evening with these field conditions. 1st and 10 at the 16-yard line. Wide to the right, Roethlisberger. In the slot right is Sabraco. The give to Julian. 15, 10, 5. Touchdown. West Geauga. Jim Julian on the 1st play after the fumble by Howard Joyner takes it home, and the West Geauga Wolverines take a quick 6-0 lead.
Yeah, it was the same play West Geauga ran in their opening series. The 1st play of the game from offense for them, where they ran Julian off of that left tackle hole off of Hanky and with Tolaco at the guard position doing some good up front blocking, nullifying penetration by Chardon. Good blocking up front, good running by Julian. Straight ahead.
And extra point attempt is up and no good. It was Joe Sennett who missed the extra point. And we have timeout on the field. 7 minutes, 45 seconds to play of the 1st quarter with our score. West Geauga 6. Chardon nothing. We'll be back after this timeout on Cablevision. Hey, here in the 1st quarter at Stretch Howell Field at West Geauga High School. And John Julian runs 16 yards following a Howard Joyner fumble. Very 1st play following the fumble, as a matter of fact, to put West G on top here. Once again, it'll be Sennett attempting to, he will kick it off here. And it's a low, short kick. taken by Jim O'Patterney at the 20, 25, 30, breaks a tackle, 35. He's out over the 40, and he's finally brought to a halt around the 43-yard line of Chardon. A 23-yard return by Jim O'Patterney, and Chardon will have good field position under normal circumstances, 1st and 10 at the 43-yard line.
Yes, that's the type of running O'Patterney can do very effectively. He doesn't put the moves on. He kind of waits for the defender to come up and puts the brakes on, lets him shoot past him, accelerates again. That you can do on a wet field like this. Occasionally it'll happen where you go to put the brakes on, the field will slip. But for the most part, it's a heck of a lot easier than making a sharp lateral cut like he normally does.
1st and 10 at the 43. Howard Joyner gives the football to Mike Lynn, and he's thrown for a big loss back at about the 40-yard line. Darrell Calura was right in there on top of him. 3-yard loss on the play. It'll be 2nd down and 13 for Chardon back at the Chardon 40.
Yeah, penetration was made by that whole left side of the defensive line for West Geauga. Like Joe mentioned, Darrell Calura led it. Patronis, the end, helped him, and Frank Callow from his nose position was also in on the tackle.
Calura was in there so fast that he almost got there before the exchange was completed. 2nd down and 13 at the 40-yard line for Chardon. Joyner handing the ball to O'Patterney. O'Patterney fights his way back over the 40 across the original line of scrimmage toward the 45. That's what we'll give him on forward progress. A gain of about 5 yards on the play. It'll be 3rd and 8 for Chardon at the Chardon 45-yard line. Earlier this week, we had a chance to talk to the Chardon cheerleaders and ask them who they thought would win tonight's ball game. Third down and 8 at the 45-yard line. In motion to the right comes Mike Lynn. Joyner pitches it left to O'Patterney, 45, and he's thrown down about the 48-yard line. Once again, outstanding pursuit by the West Geauga defense, in particular, Leif Johnson, number 52, a junior. It's a gain of 3. It'll bring up 4th and 5, and Chardon will be forced to punt on 4th and 5 at the Chardon 48-yard line.
Yeah, it seems to be early on. I see one little trend by the coaches in their play selection this evening. They seem to be running away from the mud. Wherever the muddy area is or something, they try to find the one little island of sod and head for that area. That occasion, they happen to be on the left side, outside, where they sent O'Patterney on that run.
John Julian deep to receive this punt for Mike Scaleras, and he'll take it at about the 23-yard line, cuts across the 25, moving to the outside. And he's running laterally and thrown down as he reaches the 29-yard line. Knocked out of bounds there by the Chardon Hilltoppers, and in particular, number 42, Bill Bailey. A little controversy there on the sidelines, but nothing comes of it. A 6-yard punt return. It'll be 1st and 10 for West Geauga at the West Geauga 29-yard line with 4:52 to play here in the first quarter and the clock running.
Yeah, that particular player was good special teams work by Mike Hummel, who grabbed an arm, kept it, because he had the sideline open a little bit. Might have been able to outmaneuver the other defenders ahead of him.
Once again, John Quinlan is the quarterback. He has Sabrocco wide to the left, Roethlisberger wide to the right. This time, the give goes up the middle to Nick Lorenzo, the fullback, number 36. He picks up about 3 yards on the play across the 30 to about the 32. It'll be 2nd and 7 for West G at the West G 32-yard line.
Tonight, Chardon's doing a little bit of shifting on their defensive front, moving them, just sliding them over a couple feet here or there. On that touchdown run, they got burned a little bit by pulling the right tackle too close to the end, which opened up the hole even wider for where the ball carrier wanted to go.
Quinlan hands the ball to Julian across the 30s out to about the 34. Thrown down there by Dave Scanlon, who we can see, and several others who we can't, although Ed Seletsky, number 54, Chuck Cox, number 36, now up off the pile. A gain of about 2. It'll be 3rd down and 5 for Chardon at the 34-yard line, or for West Geauga at the 34-yard line. We have a timeout. West Geauga wants timeout. 3 minutes, 40 seconds to play in the first quarter with our score of West Geauga 6, Chardon nothing. We'll be back after this timeout on Cablevision. These especially about an 11-yard punt. It'll be 1st and 10 for Chardon. Chardon has a golden opportunity First and 10 at the 35-yard line of West Geauga.
Yeah, that's another one of those caused by the condition of the field. I imagine we'll probably, like Joe alluded to earlier, probably be several turnovers, fumbles, snaps between center and quarterback, punts off the side of the foot, all kinds of air tonight because this field is in miserable shape.
First and 10 for Chardon. Howard Joyner gives the ball to Jim O'Patterney, and O'Patterney picks up about 2 yards, possibly 3, down toward the 32. We'll keep giving you those numbers as long as we can see them. Darrell Kalura, number 57, in on the tackle. Gain of 3. It'll be second and 7 for Chardon at the West G 32-yard line.
Yeah, I see there are some of these jerseys are becoming very colored right now. Like one noticeably I noticed is Mike Lynn out on the field is just totally, you can't read his number. Fortunately, we know where he lines up and all, so we'll be able to tell who he is.
Scolaris in the slot right. Tight to the right is Neely. Tight to the left is Wacob. And motion left comes Scolaris. O'Patterney left, Lynn right in the T. Howard Joyner to throw. Fires toward the sideline. It's incomplete. Bill Coach, number 11, broke up the play. It'll bring up third down. That was defensive play by Bill Coach.
Yes, it was, very much so. But it was a strange pattern run by Chardon where they had 2 receivers, you know, like sandwiched. They had Bill Coach sandwiched between them. It was an odd little pattern. It was like Chardon was playing the secondary man and Coach was the receiver. Very odd to see a pattern run with 2 receivers you know, within 3-4 yards of each other.
Third and 7 for Chardon at the 32-yard line of West G. Scolaris in the slot right now. He comes in motion left. O'Patterney left and Lynn right in the T. Give on the misdirection to O'Patterney is across the 30 to about the 29-yard line. Knocked down there by number 22, Brett Schultz, along with a few other West G players in there. Kalura in on the tackle again, number 57. Also number 52, Leif Johnson. It'll bring up fourth down. Fourth down and 4 yards to go for Chardon at the 29-yard line. And let's see what the Hilltoppers decide to do. Of course, they'll go for it here with these field conditions. No way you can try to kick the ball on this kind of a surface. Scolaris comes out wide to the right now. Tight to the right is Neely. Tight to the left is Wacob. O'Patterney left and Lynn right in the T as Howard Joyner rolls to his right to throw under heavy pressure. He fires. It is caught by Mike Neely. He's down around the 10-yard line of West G, and he has a Chardon first down.
Yeah, it was a nice pass to him by Joyner. He floated out there. Neely had his body position, turned to the sideline. There was a nice safe one that could have been intercepted, even though an interception actually would have worked to Chardon's advantage in that case. But it was a nice reception, and the ball was just laid in there very nicely by quarterback Joyner. Good play by Chardon.
Chardon will have the football just outside the 12-yard line of West G. They'll have it there first and 10. Scolaris comes out wide to the right. Tight to the right is Neely. Tight to the left is Wacob. Howard Joyner doesn't like what he sees, and with 46 seconds to play in the first quarter, he asks for a timeout. So, John, you got any observations about this quagmire out here while we're at it?
Well, I'll tell you, just to explain the situations in this field, Kenston has their field being torn apart right now, so they are using West Geauga, through the graciousness of the high school itself, to use their field as their home field. So essentially between that, soccer games, etc., this field is getting double the action it normally would get. And with this last week of the heavy rains we've been having and all, it's made it even worse. So between usage and the weather conditions themselves, this field is just taking a beating, and it looks terrible. We still have, what, 4 games to go yet after tonight.
Exactly.
So I imagine this field there's going to be a lot of work done in the spring to get this field ready for next football season, I'm sure.
Have an idea there's going to be plenty of sod laid here at West G.
Oh, I'm sure of that, Joe. It's going to be a very expensive venture to improve this field.
Boy, poor Huey Marshall's going to have his hands full, I'll tell you.
Is that the groundskeeper in this vicinity?
First and 10 at the 12-yard line. And tight to the left is Wacob. Tight to the right is Neely. And the slot right is Scolaris. Scolaris now comes in motion left. O'Patterney left and Lynn right in the T. And the give is to Mike Lynn, who gets down inside the 10 to about the 8-yard line. It's thrown down there by Jeff Pitcock after a 4-yard gain. It'll be second and 6 for Chardon at the West Geauga 8-yard line.
Yeah, now Chardon's back in that area where they can use a little bit of footing because they do have turf. They're out of the real quagmire situations right now. We'll get to see if they open up their offense a little bit, because thus far it's been very conservative, very straight-ahead type of football.
2nd down and 6 at the 8-yard line. Tight to the left is Wacob. Tight to the right is Neely. And the slot right is Scaleris. Lynn up, O'Patterney back in the eye. The give is to Jim O'Patterney. He gets a big hole, and he's across the 5, down around the 3-yard line. He is very close to the yardage needed for a Chardon first down.
Yeah,
and that's the end of the first quarter. The first quarter is over here at Stretch Howell Field in Chesterland, Ohio, with our score. The West Geauga Wolverines 6, the Chardon Hilltoppers nothing. We'll be back with second quarter action after this timeout on Cablevision. The Century 21 from Stretch Howell Field at West Geauga High School. Chardon with the football. 3rd down and less than a yard to go. They're back around the 3-yard line. Wacob comes in motion right. Here's the give to Mike Lynn, and he is in for the touchdown. Mike Lynn, at least we think it's Mike Lynn. It's an awful lot of mud on his back, but he's in for the score, whoever he is. With 11:58 to play here in the first half, it's West Geauga 6, Chardon 6.
Yeah, I believe that was Mike Lynn scoring on that one. That's a play Chardon used to run pretty routinely 2-3 years ago, where they put the tight end in motion, slow motion, when they get to the far side tackle position. He cuts in and becomes a lead blocker in essence on that. It's not really a trap play. It's more a lead blocking situation where they use the tight end. I haven't seen Chardon use that the last couple of years, though, in the games we've been covering.
Chuck Straczynski will attempt the extra point under less than ideal conditions, and the snap is down, the kick is up, and it is good. Just barely made it through. Just barely went over the crossbar. He put it home, and Chardon leads at 7-6.
Yeah, there was a big moan from the West Geauga squad over here, thinking that the point was not good, and quite honestly, from my viewpoint, I thought it was off to the right.
From our angle, it looked wide, but we don't have a very good angle. We're kind of looking like, you know, from left to right and down the line, and we don't have a good angle to see that, but if it made it, it sure didn't make it by much.
Yeah, but anyhow, the point's in the scoreboard, and that's really what counts right now.
As they say, a miss is as good as a mile, right? Yeah.
To make it as good as, what, a foot, or how's that go?
Yeah, I don't know how the other part of it goes. All I ever heard is a miss is as good as a mile.
Anyhow, score Chardon 7, West G 6.
11:58 to play here in the first half. Chuck Straczynski will kick it off for Chardon. Deep to receive, a triumvirate of West G players. Rick Rowan closest to you. In the middle is John Julian. On the right, Greg Sabraco. Instead, it's taken by an up man, and it may have been a squib kick, and I believe it's recovered by West G across the 40 out to the 42-yard line. And that's where they'll have it. And in the Mud Bowl here, we're not even going to try to tell you who carried that football because it was just nothing but a pile of mud.
I think it was Steve Darris that received that, one of the upbacks for West Geauga. And it was just a strange kick. I don't know. I think Straczynski could get his feet planted well enough to get it up. I don't know if he tried to deliberately kick a short one or not, but I think it was just a case of field positions being bad. Couldn't plant properly to get a boom out of the kick he routinely does get.
Okay, this is a good time for us to remind you that there are 24 United Way agencies in and around Geauga County which serve people in need of care. Thanks to the folks of Geauga and neighboring vicinities, the greater Cleveland community is #1 in per capita giving among United Way organizations across the nation. But despite your outstanding record of generosity, the documented needs for health and human services in this community alone continue to escalate at a rate far faster than the amount of funds being raised to meet those needs. Your charitable dollars will help support many area programs, all concerned with helping those in need of care. Remember, thanks to United Way, it works for all of us. Give to United Way. 11 minutes and 39 seconds to play here in the first half. The clock is running as West Geauga has the football 1st and 10 at their own 42-yard line. Here's the pitch by Quinlan to Julian. Julian cutting across the 40. He's thrown out of bounds right around the line of scrimmage. Looked like Chuck Cox pushed him out. No gain on the play. It'll be 2nd and 10 for West G at the West G 42.
That was a good job of the Chardon defense stringing that play out. Julian had it. He tried to hook it in 2-3 times along the way. All of a sudden, he was in the Chardon bench area. There was no more room. He had crossed the sideline area. Good job by the Chardon defense as a whole.
2nd down and 9 yards to go as they mark the ball closer to the 43-yard line for West G. Quinlan gives the ball again to Julian. He's across the 45. Out toward the 48-yard line, picked up about 4, and it'll bring up 3rd and 5 for West G at the West G 47.
Yes, West G is getting good work out of their line. They're starting to gel a little bit, shoot out, nullify the Chardon defensive line where they're not getting any penetration at all, open up the little lanes, which with the good ball carriers that West G has this season, possibly break one at any time if they get themselves out in the secondary range, put on their own moves, and go from there.
3rd down and 5 for the West Geauga Wolverines. Again, the give to Julian. He fights his way across the midfield to the 49-yard line. Gain of about 4. It will leave West G again short of a 1st down. They'll have 4th and about 2, we'll call it. And the West Geauga Wolverines at this point, with 4th and 2 squarely at midfield, will opt to punt in this situation, and Chardon will get it back on the punt. Deep to receive, Howard Joyner and Mike Lynn once again for Chardon.
And the kicker is in a very muddy part of the field. He's going to have to be extremely careful here.
Rick Rowan got a good snap, and he booms off a really good kick considering the conditions. It's going to roll dead down around the 10. No, it's picked up at the 9 by Joyner. He's across the 10, and boy, does he take a shot at the 14-yard line. He was pummeled there by number 44, Rick Salk. It's about a 5-yard return. A nice kick by Rick Rowan under those conditions. 41 yards with a 5-yard return. Chardon ball deep in their own territory, 1st and 10 at the 14-yard line.
Actually, Joe, that was a nice kick under any conditions. A very exceptional kick under the conditions in the area of the field that he was kicking on. An excellent job of getting the ball off with good distance by kicker Rowan.
If we had decent field conditions here, that ball probably would have rolled another 6 or 7 yards. Easy. That's a 1st and 10 for Chardon at the Chardon 14-yard line. Tight to the left is Wycobb. Tight to the right is Neely. In the slot right is Scolaris. The give is on the crossing play to Mike Lynn. He's across the 15 out to about the 17-yard line. Thrown down there by Jeff Pitcock after a 3-yard gain. It'll be 2nd and 7 for Chardon at the Chardon 17.
I've noticed the last couple of series or so, the West G linebackers are starting to get more and more active, that being Pitcock and Johnson. They're making themselves a factor in this game, competing strongly with the strong linebacking core Chardon has of Scanlon and Cox, who are outstanding as far as I'm concerned. I see West Geauga is definitely right in that same area of excellence.
2nd down and 7 at the 17-yard line. Tight to the left is Wycobb. Tight to the right is Neely. In the slot right, Scolaris. And they're in the eye now. It's Lynn up and O'Patterney back in the eye. Scolaris comes in motion left. Joyner pitches the ball to Mike Lynn. And again, Mike Lynn takes it out to about the 19-yard line. We'll give him a 2-yard gain on that play. It'll be 3rd and 5 for Chardon at the Chardon 19.
Yeah, Chardon, I doubt if they'll put it in the air in this situation because, again, they're in one of those sections of the field for the next 10 yards or so where they're not in the real muddy conditions. They can get the footing, go ahead with their running game to pick up the 1st down, the game that they so love. I'll be really surprised to see Chardon go in the air. In a muddy situation on the field, if they were in one of the bad spots, I would say they'd go in the air, but I expect to see the ball put on the ground.
3rd down and 5 at the 19-yard line. The slot left is Scolaris, and the give is to O'Patterney across the 20. He's out to about the 22, maybe the 23. Was actually pushed forward by about a yard or 2. And he's going to be about a yard short of the 1st down. He picked up 4 on the play. It'll be 4th and 1, and Chardon will be forced to punt.
It'll be interesting to see on Scolaris' punt when he goes, if he tries to angle it towards one of the muddy sections of the field to keep the kick returner from getting very good footing to get any sort of a return out of it at all. Which he should kick it to his right, the top part of the screen, if you will, to get it to the real muddy section.
To the bottom of your screen, deep to receive for West G is John Julian, number 31. To the top of your screen is Steve Darris, number 8. Scolaris to do the punting. It's a high, fairly short kick taken on a roll by Julian at midfield, and he is thrown down after nice work by the Chardon special teams. Only a 1-yard gain on the return. A decent punt by Scolaris, again under the field conditions. 31 yards with a 1-yard return. West G will have the ball 1st and 10 at the Chardon 49-yard line.
That was Jim O'Patterney on that tackle, pulling down Julian. The two counterparts meeting up on special team work. Kind of nice to see, too. One of the players coming in for offense for Chardon, or for West Geauga, helped O'Patterney up on his way into the huddle area. That's good to see sportsmanship like that happen.
1st and 10 at the 49-yard line. Sabraco comes in motion to the left. And here's the give to Julian. He picks up about a yard to the 48.